So let's go ahead and get started with bar. I'm going to start without my chair. This is the chair that I have for balance. In first position, heels together, toes turned out. We're going to reach up and over, up and side, up, over, up, side. Oh, I realize I'm only talking about one arm. One arm obviously goes down as the other goes up. You want to stand really tall, reach upward, and then over. And then come back to what I would call a neutral position. So it's lateral side bend, so directly to the side, not leaning forward at all. I'm keeping my heels firmly planted on the ground. We're not just warming up our torso here and getting movement there, but also in our shoulders, in that range of motion, reaching up. Good, one more time on each side. Good, if you need your chair for balance, we're going to be going up onto our heels. So having a finger light on the chair for balance is always helpful. And if you want to work on your balance, you can take the hands right off. If you want to keep those shoulder muscles engaged, you can bring your arms forward. Just make sure there's no tension in the neck or shoulders as we elevate those arms to shoulder height. Technique is always much more important than speed, so feel free to go at your own pace. I will be counting out repetitions, but it's really more about the feeling of fatigue and muscular work than about the numbers. Although we do want to try to be as symmetrical as we can on either side. Usually one of our sides is stronger than the other. So we're basically always asymmetrical. All right, last one. We're going to go into our plie, little knee bend, keeping that torso vertical. Knees will shoot a little bit out past the ankles, obviously, because it starts above the ankles, but it should not shoot out past the toes. Knees and toes are all aligned with each other to the corners of the room. Good, try to keep that chest lifted, draw the abdominals in towards the spine. We're not directly working our abs, but they're always going to be stabilizing throughout. All right, combine the two, down into a plie, up into, on your toes. I'm just giving arm choreography ideas. You absolutely do not have to do this with your arms. You can hold onto the back of that chair. Anytime we use the chair, we're just going to have our hands lightly on the back of the chair, not yanking on it. For safety, because it's not bolted to the ground, we're not going to put all our weight on it and pull on it. Okay, what helps with balance is staring at a spot on the ground. So you could be looking straight at me, which is fine, but I am moving, so it could be distracting for your balance. You can stare at a spot on the floor, maybe 5 or 6 feet ahead of you. And the other thing is just keeping those abdominals nice and tight. Having a tight body, contracted, stabilized, will help with balance. Last one here. Okay, we are going to use our chair now, and our outside leg is going to lift. So I'm still going to the corners of the room. Let's do the leg first. It's going to be one knee lift, or remember the hip flexors, one leg extension. Both of them are going to the corners of the room. Knee, extended. One bend, one straight. When the knee's bent, your quads won't be engaged, and when your leg is straight, those quads are going to be nice and tight. Good. When I'm lifting my knee up, I'm not like excessively bending my knees, if you noticed. I'm kind of keeping that knee angle pretty wide, a little wider than 90, I guess. Let's do one more here. Good. And let's switch to the other side. So I just moved my chair because it's pretty lightweight, and I can keep facing you guys, but do what works for you. If it involves maybe turning around and repositioning your device, that works too. We're always going to be lifting the outside leg, so there's no chance that we are going to kick our chair. Good. One more of each. Good. Now we're going to get into our workouts. So I'm going to face you guys, but you can actually face your chair for a nice wide plie. So this is feet together. This is about hip distance. We're going to go 3 times hip distance. So this is probably about 2, and then this is 3. And again, you're going to face your chair, but I'm just going to show you from the front here. I'm going a nice wide plie. You can go as low as you like, but really the thing to check is that your knees aren't shooting past your ankles for this one. So we don't want to get it here. Because we're lower, put a little more pressure on the knees. So keep those knees over the ankles. So if you're here, that's fine. The knees are over the ankles. All right, we're going to go full range. I mean, if you don't need the chair for balance, I guess you can face forward like this too. But again, having both hands on the chair for balance is helpful. Because what we are going to be doing is like leaning like this. And so what happens is you can hold one hand and then the other. Because then this is like you're leaning away and you might kick the chair. So we're going to be switching sides. So I'll turn and face the chair in a little bit. But first we're doing full range. You want those knees and toes aligned with each other. So, you don't want the knees going forward and the toes going out. So there's always a kind of a gentle pressure taking those knees out. Our torso is still vertical. Chest is up, abs nice and braced. Good, we're going to continue this full range with one heel lifted. So I'm just going to lift my right heel. It's my left, but if you're mirroring me, it's your right. It doesn't matter, because you're facing your chair anyways. So just pick a heel. It's staying lifted. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, you don't have to lift this high, or you can keep the heel on the ground the whole time. Good, 2 more. And then switch. So now we have the other heel lifted. So it's a little asymmetrical, but that's part of the challenge. So basically we have flats in one foot and high heels in the other. Luckily, we don't walk around like that with one high heel and one flat. Good, so this is our full range. We're going to go back to that right heel lifted and pulse it. So down here and stay. Small range, not standing all the way up, letting those legs, those quads burn out. We got 8 more. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take a break right here. If you need a longer break, feel free to take it. Lift the other heel, pulse for 16. We got 8 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. And you are facing your chair, and most likely you want to have your hands on this chair. We're going to lift both heels, so it's symmetrical again. And then we're going to pulse. 7, count down for 8. 2 and 1. And then the last version is probably the simplest. We're going to keep both heels on the ground and pulse. So when your muscles are the most fatigued, we're doing something that's a little less challenging balance-wise and coordination-wise. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. I don't know why I have my hands here. They're just here. Okay, shake those legs out. We're not done with those wide squats yet. Remember how I said we're going to go here and then lift, and then here and then lift. So you definitely want to do this facing your chair so that there's no way you're going to kick the chair. So set that feet up nice and wide. Here, I'll angle my chair a little bit so you can see, but I'm not blocked by my chair here. I'm going to squat. Doesn't matter which way you pick first. Squat, push off. Leg is straight as you lift it to the side. Again, try not to yank on this chair. Your hands are on there lightly balancing. You should be close enough to your chair that when you lean away from it, you can still access it. If you're like this far and you have to lean forward and touch your chair, you want to get closer. Okay, you know which leg you started with, so just make sure you finish on the other leg for symmetry. The nice thing about alternating sides is you're always going to do the same number on each side as long as you remember which leg you started with. And at most, you do one extra on one side. Good. I'm lifting to the sides, okay, so I'm not lifting forward. Get nice and low to that squats. Chest up, torso up. Good. And open up that hip using the outer thigh muscles. So let's look at the orientation of the leg. We're trying not to turn it out too much. It should just be a natural lift. So your kneecaps are already facing the corners and slightly forward. So maintain that sort of slight forward lift, which will feel like it's a medial or internal rotation, and that's what we're aiming for. So try not to lift the leg and turn out even more. All right, let's do 2 more on each side. Really starting to build up a sweat here. Maybe even get that heart rate up. Okay, good. Shake it out. We can keep our chair on this side. We're going to do some arabesque base movements. So you don't want to be too close to the chair because of the way you'll be reaching for it. You're going to actually lean forward. Now this is important. Your spine needs to be straight. All right, let's bend those knees first of all. And make sure the spine isn't round. We get our tailbone lifted, spine neutral, abs are tight. Now the leg is going to sweep. I'm going to use my front leg. It's going to sweep straight back. I'm not rotating to the side. I'm not opening up the hips. My hips stay squared forward. Standing legs slightly bent. Okay, it's for stabilization. And my back, kneecap, and toes face forward. All right, so this is your basic arabesque. I'd like you to lock your torso in position. So it shouldn't be too vertical because it's going to limit how much you can lift the leg. The most you can go is about parallel, which is fine, except know that the more parallel you are, the tighter your hamstring stretch will feel. So it really depends on your hamstring flexibility. It's all about maintaining that torso position once you set it. So right now I'm kind of, if I go any lower than this, like my hamstring on my standing leg is starting to really, really feel it. It's getting really tight. Okay. Those are full range of motion. Arabesque. Let's see what question is. Frozen 3 times. Okay. Yeah, it's probably my internet. Really sorry about that. Oh, okay. Well, luckily I don't change moves too often. Sorry about that, Julie. I will call Comcast after this.
Okay, so let's stop the movement for a second. Keep the leg up at its highest position. Pick a knee position, so look about where my knee is, and then I'm just gonna bend the leg. You can flex the foot, like you're pulling the heel to the butt, or you can keep the toe pointed and pull the heel to the butt. But once you've set that leg position, it is staying there. Now, if you need to lower it, it's fine. But the goal is that the glutes stay contracted, the hamstrings are contracting, and the hip stays open. Again, abs nice and braced, spine nice and straight. So you don't want to get into this arch position, okay? So brace those out. You gotta work those hamstrings. Your butt is constantly engaged, and keep that standing leg. Try not to lock that knee out. 4, 3, 2. Now bend it. Bring the knees together. So my knee is like roughly about 90 degrees. Standing leg, I know is getting fatigued. So knee is about 90 degrees roughly. You're gonna lift it out to the side, like, I guess the way I best describe this is like a male dog going up to a telephone pole or a tree for its break. So this is an outward lift, moving away from your midline. So also working the outer thighs. So if we did this on our leg straight, it would look like this, but we just happen to be doing it with the knees bent. I know your standing leg is really feeling it. It's part of the challenge. Stabilizers. Three more. All right, shake out the leg. I wonder if more people are working during the day. And I have Wi-Fi issues. I don't actually have Wi-Fi issues during bar though. Are we ready to do the other side? All right, I'm just gonna move my chair. You actually don't need to move your chair. You just lift your other leg. I'm just gonna move my chair so you can see my front leg again. Let's set that up. So bend the knees, tilt forward, spine straight. Again, you want your elbows slightly bent. So this is not a great position. I mean, technically you can do it. You don't want to be like straining for the chair. So let's start with the full range arabesque. You can flex the foot. You can point, but the pelvis will stay square to the chair. Chest is up, abs tight, spine straight. So I think you guys can maybe see yourself in your own videos, right, on your screen. So you can always kind of check alignment that way using that screen. If you don't have like a mirror right there, that is. So our moving leg is working specific muscles. Right now it's the glutes, stretching the hip flexors. We're gonna hit the hamstrings a little bit. But the standing leg is just isometrically contracting. So even though it's not moving, the muscles are fully engaged to stabilize and hold up the weight of your body. There shouldn't be that much weight in your arms. And of course your abs are stabilizing, so your spine doesn't move, doesn't arch, it doesn't round, right? If your spine is arching and rounding like this, it's not great at all for the spine. Okay, let's do those curls. So we'll lift as high as you can, or whatever height you decide to pick. And then you're either pointing or flexing as you curl and straighten. So feel the hamstring, feel the quads. Pull, push, pull, extend. And then if you're flexing your foot, a lot of times in bar, people don't flex their feet because, in ballet, it's ballet inspired. Oh, ballerinas always have their toes pointed and stuff. And yeah, that's true, but it's good to have variety. Oh, did I freeze again? Because I keep getting these little pop-ups that say internet unstable. But then it goes away again, so I don't know. And nothing's affecting my video, so I'm so sorry if I'm freezing for you guys. All right, we're gonna do 4 more. It's work in both directions, which I don't know if I mentioned on the other side. You pull, And then you wanna really squeeze the quads to straighten. So there's like resistance in both directions. Okay, we're gonna keep the knee bent, lower the knees together. So about 90 degree in the knees, roughly. And then make it a lateral motion. Standing leg still bent? Yes. If you lock the knee out, most likely it's your body saying, I'm really tired. Your leg is saying, I'm really tired. And it's easier to lock the joint out and settle into the joint than it is to use the muscles. So that's why your body likes to default to locking the joints out. But just a little reminder to remind yourself to check up on that. Let's do 8 more. Out to the side as high as you can. The knee doesn't have to be perfectly 90 degrees. Give me 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. Okay. Whew. So, we're going to go into some upper body stuff, but I'm going to continue with a little bit of legs there. So, we're not quite done with the leg portion, but we are going to be done with the chair. If you don't have dumbbells, I use these cans of beans. They're about a pound each. 15.5 ounces is a half ounce shy of a pound. Pound is 16 ounces, in case you didn't know that. So we're going to start with shoulder raises. I always start with this. Why? Because it's a symmetrical movement. Elbows are slightly bent. You don't need dumbbells. So if you have just a loose fist or even blade hands, that all works. So your stance is in parallel now, neutral position. So we do a lot of turn out in ballet, but this is kind of more the fitness part. Barre Fitness. Again, we don't want to work, we want to work the muscles and not settle into the joints. That's why our elbows are slightly bent. I'm lifting to about shoulder height. All right, so this is full range, so let's do a pulse. So holding it up at shoulder height, forming that T, and pulsing. Very small range of motion right here. Let's think about the rest of our body. Our knees are slightly bent, soft knees, abs tight, draw the belly in, brace it toward the spine, and keep that chest lifted. Now my shoulders are actually relaxed away from my ears, and what I mean is the deltoid muscles are engaged, but I don't have my neck muscles that connect to my shoulders elevated. So there are these muscles that elevate the shoulders like that. And there's a name for it, just probably like levator scapula or something. You learn all this muscle names, and then you're like, and then they're like, don't ever use it in class because it's confusing to the students. And it's like, yeah, okay. So I want you to pulse it and bring it slowly forward. Yeah, small increments. There you go. So now your hands are right in front of your shoulders. So if I show you from the side view, like this, I'm not leaning back. Oh, my knees gotta be slightly bent. Yeah. So that's what it looks like. Yes. And this is why you don't really want heavy weights. Like 1 pound, 2, maybe 3 pounds is enough. Because it is about these small range of motion, about these pulses. So even if you have no weights, you'll start to feel it in your arms. All right, we're going to take it back out to the side. And then I'm going to bend the elbows. Good. Now here's where we're going to incorporate our legs. So I purposely let us stand the first time so that our legs can rest a little bit. We're going to go into our fitness squats. So this is where my toes and knees are mostly forward, maybe slightly turned out. And I'm going to press. So I got low, bend my elbows, bend my knees, straighten everything.
Don't feel the need to lock it out at the top though. So I'm not locking out the elbows, I'm not locking out the knees. I'm going to probably 95% extension of both. I'm gonna show you the side view. The fitness squat does have your torso leaning slightly forward. It is different from the plie, where it's so super wide that the torso can stay vertical. All right, so part of the challenge here, if you notice my dumbbells are slightly ahead of my face. It's not back here, okay? So you always want the dumbbells or your fists in your peripheral vision. So as I'm staring right ahead of you, I can see my cans of beans in my peripheral vision. You want to see your hands always. You should never be behind you. So this is your fitness squats and your overhead press. So I'm going to have you go into pulse mode. So we're coming down for 8, 7, 6. My arms are pulsing 2, 4, 3, 2, and 1. One big stand. Down pulse for 8, 7, 6, 5. Push that butt back and down. 3, 2, and 1. Press. Show you from the side view again. My knees are about 90 degrees. My knees slightly go towards my toes, but they're not in front of my toes. 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, shake out those arms. Working those triceps now. We're gonna get those arms back over the head. I know your shoulders are a little fatigued. We're not really working the shoulders anymore, there's your triceps. So try not to let your body shift forward because of the weights or your hands behind you. And then my elbows are not wide, they're close. Straighten the arms. It's like I'm pulling my beans back so I can throw it. Okay, don't throw anything in your house. Extend and bend. Notice my elbows don't shift from its position. So when I bend it back, I'm not taking my elbows wide and then I'm bringing it forward again. No, the elbows will stay close to the temples in your peripheral vision. I can always see my elbows. They're not so far behind me that it forces my rib cage to pop out and forces my back to arch. So allow the elbows to be in your peripheral, and then you bend. So I can see my beans right here. I can see my weights, my fists, everything. And we're gonna keep going with this. I'm gonna have you step back into a lunge. And by the way, this is optional. If you wanna focus on the triceps and keep the lower body out of it, by all means do so. I'm gonna step back one leg. I'm keeping the hips squared forward. So my back leg, I feel a nice hamstring stretch because I have that heel down and my front knee is bent about 90 degrees. Well, not really. But what I'm going to do, and these are again optional, I'm gonna bend lower into my back knee until both knees are 90. So this is your lunge. Chest is up, torso vertical. I'm gonna do 8 of these triceps here. 4 more. Holding that lunge, 3. Isometric contraction of the legs, 2, and 1. I'm gonna try to keep my triceps going, but if you need a break, you take that break. Just bring your arms down, shake it out while we transition. I'm gonna keep the triceps going. I'm gonna step back with my other leg. Nice big step back. Let's move forward again. Okay, into the white wall. Okay, we're gonna bend that back knee down. So both knees. So my back knee is just underneath my hips now. For 8, eye gaze straight ahead. 7. I'm showing you side view, but you can face directly me. You can face your device. 3, 2, and 1. All right, now we're done. Woo! Enough of those triceps. So we're gonna do some rear flies. I'm gonna show you 2 versions. So we're gonna really burn up the rear deltoids back here. This is our back muscles for posture.
So if you think about slouching, it's your shoulder blade areas separating from each other. So the opposite of slouching is we want to engage those muscles, bring it together. So we're going to be in our knees bent, feet are at hip distance apart, knees bent, back flats, and at an angle. Good, you don't want to be too vertical because then guess what? You're doing your shoulders again. So for tilted forward, now we're working the rear deltoids, the muscles right around the shoulder blade. Every time you lift those arms, it's like you're flapping your wings. You're like a bird, fly. It's called a rear fly, actually. But I want you to squeeze your shoulder blades and have a slight bend in your elbow. It's not about pulling the elbows up, though. It's about moving at the shoulder blade. So I have my arms in a slightly bent position, and it's locked in that slightly bent position. Check out your wrists. We don't want it bent here, so neutral wrists. So keep reaching your butt back, your tailbone back, so that helps with your balance. You should feel most of the weight in your heels. See, I can wiggle my toes. Good. Now, if it bothers your neck, you don't need to keep looking up. You can keep your chin down a little bit to have your head and neck aligned with your spine. So by now, you should probably be feeling that muscle right around your shoulder blades. Good. Let's change the range of motion. Actually, no, we'll do that on the floor. Let's do 8 more, full range. 8, 7. And notice how high I'm lifting. I'm only lifting to shoulder heights. I'm not going super high. The reason being is you don't need to lift all the way up in order to squeeze the shoulder blades together. Any extra movement is really just a stretch in the chest and no longer about moving the shoulder blades any closer towards each other or spine. Okay, so watch the range of motion. Okay, so I'd like you to come down onto the mat, hold your dumbbells, hold your weights nearby. So we're on our hands and knees, and it's the same motion, but it's gonna be a partial range. Why? Because you're gonna hit the floor. So you don't even really need any weights for this. This is actually quite challenging. So when you're in your quadruped, spine flat, knees underneath the hips, wrists underneath the shoulders, take one arm. I'm gonna do this first without this. Don't lift it so high that you're rotating open. Keep that chest square to the floor. Once your fingers get really close to the floor, go right back up. So you're not banging the weights or touching the floor every single time. I'm tired. I'm not gonna use those weights. Okay, so I get my hand close to the floor. Eye gaze on the floor next to your other thumb. Okay, now we're gonna pulse it, so hold that arm up and pulse for 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold up there, lift, 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 lift. Your arms should be parallel to the floor, no higher than the shoulders. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. I'm just gonna turn around, but you don't have to. Actually, I'm not gonna turn around, I'm gonna show you the front view. Here, not forward, not back, straight to the side. Lift, get close to the floor. Lift, close to the floor. Neutral wrist. Now, I'm not gonna keep looking up at you guys because I wanna demonstrate my head and neck being aligned with my spine. So the full range on the floor is wherever the floor is. So it's about 45 degrees if we are roughly calculating. And now, again, no higher than the shoulder. See that? That's parallel. Now we're going to pulse it for 16. 1, 2, 3, 4. Small range. About an inch or two. Last 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. And grab your weights again. You're on your butt. You're on your back. We're gonna work our butt again. And now still just a little bit more. So this is your shoulder bridge. The best way to figure out where to put your feet is, I would say, lift your knees up. If your heels drop kind of naturally, and then put your feet down, that's a good spot.
you don't want it too far out, and you don't want to purposely like have it right next to your butt. Okay, so kind of a good spot is just let it be where it is. All right, and when you push your hips up, it should be comfortable. You shouldn't feel cramping in your hamstring. You shouldn't feel pressure in the knees. You should be working the butt here. All right, everything's down. My elbows are 90 degrees. My elbows are on the ground. And I'm going to push up those dumbbells like I'm punching the ceiling as I push the hips up. Just going to show you this here. Elbows are wide, and then they converge a little bit so they're over my shoulder. Fists and dumbbells are not over my shoulders. They're wide 90-degree elbows, and then lift. So there's like sort of forming a rainbow. Now, you do not need to whack your fists or dumbbells together. You just need to get it so it's over the shoulders. Parallel, open wide, parallel. Good. We've already done a lot of work on the legs and glutes, so I'm just going to keep both feet underneath us. But obviously, an option is that you could do this with one leg on the ground as you're working both arms. So this makes sense sort of coordination-wise as everything goes up, as the weights go up, the butt goes up. But I want you to try something that kind of might confuse the brain. Keep your weights up, drop the butt. Now go opposite. Hopefully it won't be too confusing. As long as you start it here and then do the opposite, it should hopefully work out. Coordination is, making your arms and lower body do what you want it to do. So why am I teaching you this? Is because the contraction, the peak of the chest press contraction is down low, down here, and the peak of the contraction of the hips is up. So if we want to pulse, we don't want to pulse up here. We want to pulse down here. And for the butt, we don't want to pulse down here. We want to pulse up here. So lift your butt, get your dumbbells, your hands nice and wide, but get those elbows off the floor. This is where you're going to pulse, right here. Pulse. Don't straighten your arms all the way, but don't let your elbows touch the floor. Move those fists just a couple inches. Same with your butt. Just move a couple inches. All right? Got it? Let's do 8 more. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Maybe your chest was fatigued, maybe not. So your chest, one of the largest muscle groups in the upper body. So we're gonna do some push-ups. You can do push-ups. Take your hands wide, wider than the shoulders, like this wide. I just put it wider than that. So we're gonna pulse like this. Now, if that bothers your shoulders, then do full range, please. So full range like this. You can also do it on your knees. So that was kneeling, and then this is knee push-ups. So my hips kind of shifted forward. Gotta walk my hands forward too. All right, let's do either 8 full range, your choice, or I'm gonna do 16 pulses, which is a lot, okay? But I think it's about the same timing. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Coming to your plank real fast. Our push-up is sort of in a plank, but now this is a full-on plank on your elbows. Breathing, inhale out for 3 breaths. Squeeze abs, glutes, and quads. 2 more breaths. In and out. Last breath in and out. Good. For just a little bit of abs. Just a little, like our core and our abs should have been engaged throughout. Even while we're standing, it's engaged. Even while we're doing all the upper body lifts, it's engaged. All right, so we're just gonna do a little bit more on the end here. Hands behind the head to support the neck. Lifting the head, neck, and shoulder blades.
So we're gonna do what I call really slow bicycles. So this sets it up. Feel free to keep the feet on the ground, lift the legs to tabletop. This is our starting point. Then we're gonna rotate towards the bent knee that comes in. The other leg can straighten all the way or straighten partly. And then we're gonna come back to center. Go to the other direction. Back to center. So very slow and deliberate here. My shoulder blades are off the ground. And now one of them gets a little closer to the ground, but not on the ground. Little closer to the ground, but trying to keep both shoulders. Now, if you need a break is gonna be right here on the center. Shoulder blades come down, and then you can lift up again for that twist. You can take a little break right here, and then up again for the twist. So if you don't want that break, you just keep the shoulder blades up. Keep breathing. Just inhale, exhale. Keep alternating that breath. Pay attention. There should always be a breath in and out. Breath is always moving in or out. Good. One more time on each side. Well done. Okay. All right, so finishing with some spine work. It's you always want to balance the front with the back. So we're going to be on our hands and knees, wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Yeah, we're going to do more pulsing. So extend one leg. So if this is my front leg, I'm going to extend the back arm. So the opposite. Good. And then I'm going to look down on the ground, keep my abs tight. Use my spine muscles to lift, lift, lift. Pulsing arm and leg. Keeping the spine in neutral. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. I always extend the leg first. Make sure I'm stable before I lift my arm. And if I feel really unstable, I'm going to keep my hand down and pulse just the leg. Apologies for not saying that on the other side. Pulse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Go ahead and stretch that spine, tucking that tailbone under. Now I'm going to lift the tailbone. And as I start to lift my tailbone, I don't have to lift my head right away. But what will happen immediately is like my spine starts to move. Yeah, because your spine and pelvis, like they're very, very interlinked. Not very, they are. Okay, so I can move my head and neck sort of independently of my spine, which is good and bad, right? Sometimes it means our neck is out of alignment a lot. But as soon as I start to move my pelvis, immediately my spine moves. I start to tuck my tail under, my imaginary tail, that is. And right away my spine rounds. Notice my head, it can misbehave, it just keeps staying up. But we do want to do our best to keep our head and neck aligned with our spine. Good, one more time, taking it to the other extreme and remembering to take our head with it. So it's just all one curve. We're going to do some leg stretches here. I know your quads and hamstrings are really tight. So stretch the hamstrings. Let's get into the calves for those heel raises. Put all your weight into the supporting leg. If you want a deeper stretch, remember how I said like the more flex throughout the hip, the lower your torso, the more you feel it? Yeah. So we don't have a chair to lean on right now, so we're leaning on our leg, but it's all about this hip angle. So I'll just show you from this side here. Less stretch of the hamstring, more. So the more I start to lower my chest, trying to keep that spine straight, the more I'm going to feel my hamstring. Now let's say I start to round my back. I actually don't feel my hamstring anymore because nothing has changed about my hip angle. So again, might as well try to keep your spine straight. So this part doesn't really affect my hamstring stretch unless my hip angle decreases.
Find your balance, quads. So we're pretty much almost done. I'm just doing some stretches. If you guys have a short lunch break, you might need to go. And then I put this video. So I used to put all these workouts onto YouTube like right after class, but I found it so much easier. It saves a lot of time if I put 3 videos up at the same time versus one. So now I do it at the end of the week where I put boot camp, bar, and Pilates up at the same time. So by the end of the week, this will be up. Because I highly doubted anyone was doing this right away anyways. I mean, I guess people that missed my class could do it right away, but I don't know.
It's fine.
I mean, I haven't gotten any complaints so far since I haven't been putting it up right after class, so. Yeah. Good, I know your triceps are probably fatigued, and we're also gonna stretch our obliques. So getting here and our triceps all at the same time. Good, and then just get that range of motion back in your arms. And you've probably heard me say this a lot. This is a great stretch to do like every hour on the hour. If you've been sitting at your desk for a while and just typing away with very little movement in your spine, very little movement in your shoulder, this is great. It's really hard to do this slouched. I mean, I'm doing it, but it's like not ideal. You really want to reach up, open up the chest. So this helps to get your posture up. And then also, your spine is made to rotate and move. So while you want it to be stable for planks and certain activities, you don't want it to become stiff from inactivity, if that makes sense. So thanks so much for joining me. If you have any questions, let me know.